Hi, and welcome to Complete and Cast, the official podcast of Complete and Box Video Games. Today we have episode 61, which is a direct continuation of episode 60. In episode 60, I started looking at the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. I took every track and ranked it from 75 to number 1. In part 1, we looked at numbers 75 through 30. As a quick reminder as to why and how I did this, why is I've been jonesing on FF7 a lot. I've been watching a lot of people like speedrun it, which is super fun. There's a whole bunch of different fun categories. And of course there's the Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out hopefully March of next year. So I've just been really into it, and the soundtrack is phenomenal. So honestly, let's get right into it. So how I went about organizing them. So I listened to every single track. I gave them a score between 0 to 10. Actually, all of them ended up being between 5 to 9 in terms of the score I gave it. Then I looked at each individual one that, say, had a 5 rating, and I listened to them again, and I ranked all the 5s together from worst to first. And I just kind of did that puzzle piece by puzzle piece and came up with this. So, like I said, last time we looked at 75 through 30. You can find the entire list below in the description, but let's get started right now on number 29. Now, I mentioned last time as I got, to number like 40 through 30, I was like, man, I love this track. So I'm going to say that a lot because at this point, 29 through number 1, I love every one of these tracks. I mean, we're starting out with a heavy hitter right away, and it's just going to get, crazier. So 29, we have... Sorry, that first part was a little loud. My apologies there. We have Hurry, which is used many times in the game, mostly when there is, something with like a time-based kind of thing. It's used a lot in Midgar. I think this fits the mood perfectly of we have to do what we have to do and we have to get out of here kind of thing. It's a situation I remember it specifically is in Disc 2 when you're playing as Cid. Aw, yeah. When you're playing as Cid and getting all the huge materias, when you're on the train heading to Corel, this is playing, and again, it's just... I mean, it's fantastic. So, once we hit this part right here... I love it. So, that's 29, that's Hurry. Now, of course, we have to go straight in, and I love how it worked out this way. 28 is Hurry Faster. And it, quite literally worked out this way, where I had them both ranked very similarly, and I just ended up looking at, okay. So, Hurry Faster is used mostly later in the game when crazy stuff is happening, especially with the enemies, the weapons. If you remember when Diamond Weapon is making his way across the map, this is the track that's playing. And I find it to be a little bit of more refined Hurry, which is why I have it a little bit higher. Again, with these, because we only have the 29 to do, I'm going to let them play a little bit longer than last time. This part is the best. This is one of those songs that specifically gives me many, many great moments in the game that I instantly think about. It really fits any part where, crap is hitting the fan, so to say. So, that was 28 in Hurry Faster. Now, number 27, this is, in fact, one of the very first songs you hear in the game. This is Mako Reactor, or as, apparently, Nick, who joins us for Let's Plays, calls it Mako, because apparently they pronounce it Mako in something. I guess we'll find out in the FF7 remake how they pronounce it, but apparently they pronounce it Mako. Oh, you know what? I think it was Dirge of Cerberus. FF7 Dirge of Cerberus for PS2. I think they pronounced it Mako, but I gotta be honest, Mako. That's how we've pronounced it for 20 years. So, this track, obviously, it hits you very early on. Every time you're in a reactor, you get it. It really has that kind of, like, mechanic but grungy feeling. Like you're in a place of, you know, evil, something that's sucking the life out of the planet. And I think those bell chimes and then that chorus doing the O's really hits that through. I would go as far to say that that particular track is one of the most iconic in the game. However, 26 is the most iconic in the game. I have it particularly low because I don't really like the track too much. And I'll explain my reasoning for that. So, you probably know already, this is One Winged Angel, and I'm sure that anyone actually listened to this will disagree with this one most. I'm pretty sure most people would put this top 5, if not in the top slot. I never quite liked it as much as some of the other big boss themes. It's a fantastic tune, don't get me wrong. But compared to the other fantastic tunes on here, I just put it a little bit lower. This is of course when you fight the final form of Sephiroth at the end. And we're gonna get to the, I'm actually just gonna skip ahead just a little bit in the essence of time, because this is a 7-minute track. And this is the part a lot of people remember, the chanting. Da, 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 da. Like I said, it's a good song, but there's other big boss tracks that I like more. Unfortunately, you don't hear them as much because the big bosses are less, like, long than this version of Sephiroth. Like I said, great tune. It's the only one that actually has, like, real actual singing. And of course it has that super epic, just huge grand finale feel. I just never quite put it as high as other people. And if I have to be honest, a lot of it might be due to recency bias. The fact that this song is so overblown and overplayed. Sephiroth is such a huge thing nowadays. And they always have to do, it's One Wing Angel, One Wing Angel, One Wing Angel. And that might have subconsciously maybe put it down a little bit. Again, fine track, great track. Just not quite up there for me. Now, heading up to 25, we have Farm Boy. This is pure comfort. This is the song that plays at the Chocobo Ranch, and you'll be hearing it a lot if you're trying to breed Chocobos. Especially when you're trying to get a male green and a blue female, or the other way around, blue-green, or male blue, female green. That is by far the hardest part with Chocobo breeding, to get the two genders to be opposite. So you'll be reloading a lot. Unless there's some RNG manipulation I don't know about. But this song is pure comfort. This song is just like summer morning, chill day, Sunday evening. And I simply love tracks like this in video games. Something that's uniquely memorable, but also at the same point just very, very chill. So that was Farm Boy number 25. Number 24, we have Buried in the Snow. This song you'll remember, of course, being played a lot in the northern continent. Specifically Icicle Inn, I believe is where they call it. The place before you go snowboarding. This song for me is all about the background strings. I'll use quote-unquote strings because obviously it's MIDI instruments, but the background strings just constantly hitting those really short staccato notes, just making you feel, it makes you honestly feel like chilly, like it's a winter day where it's snowing outside and you're inside, you know, just watching the snow fall down. Or, you know, winter day, snow's falling down and you're taking a walk. It just feels like a winter type thing. So that is a fantastic track that really, really, really fits the mood of the game, and that's part of the reason I have it so high. So, we're getting to some Midgar tracks here, baby. I love this track, and I love the name. Underneath the Rotting Pizza. If you remember early on in the game, Barrett calls the, I don't know what you want to call it. Over top of Midgar, the reason they don't have a lot of, like, natural, like, light is because there's a big, I guess just being over it. It's like a circular kind of thing over top of all of Midgar, and they call it pizza. When he's in the train, he says, it's because of that blank blank pizza! And I think that's why they call this Underneath the Rotting Pizza. But this song is Midgar, am I right? Midgar is probably the comfiest part in the entire game, which is another reason I'm kind of excited for the remake, especially if they're going to be in Midgar quite a bit. Midgar is unlike anything else in any RPG I've ever played. Generally, in an RPG, you leave your hometown within, like, I want to say 5 to 30 minutes. Sometimes, if it's like Final Fantasy 1, you leave in, like, 1 second. But you spend a lot of time in Midgar. You know, the first time through it, you might think Midgar is the game, you know? And I probably mentioned this during the world map soundtrack part last time, but, you know, Midgar feels like everything, and this song feels like you're part of them, you know? Generally, it's... you're there, and you're having all this problem, all this pestilence, all this, just poorness, you know? And it really, really encapsulates that, so... I just wanted to talk because this song is so good, I just wanted to hear it a little bit longer. It's just, it fits it so well. Now, we're up to 22, which is Electric De Chocobo. This is the song that plays when you are chocobo hunting. And all the chocobo songs have a similar kind of, like, catch, which is generally this. A lot of the chocobo songs have, like, very, very... I don't want to say small, but variations of this general tune. And again, as you're listening to this, I don't know how you can not like it. It's just so chill, so nice, very memorable. The melody is very catchy. And it is very pleasing to the ears. So if you're catching chocobos for a while, you're not going to be disappointed with that. Oh yeah, okay. I'll let it play through this part. Bing. Oh yeah. And it feels like a surf song too. It feels like you know, like Miserloo, or, you know, all those 50s surf rock beats, which I'm sure is what he got a lot of his inspiration from. What a fantastic track. So, we're up to 21. This is quite literally, if you don't count the opening theme, the very first song you hear in the game. This is Bombing Mission. And what a way to start out the game with this song. What a way. Like, you're into it, the first thing you do in this game is you get off the train, and then you're fighting a fight. You're fighting a fight 1 second into the game, while this music is playing over in the background. You don't even know what you're doing yet. They still call you rookie. Hey, you were an Avalanche, right? You know, let's go. And this really just fits. In fact, I guess my one complaint about this song is that it's not played more often in the game. I can't think of another moment it's played. It might only be the opening scene. I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure it's played... Usually games in long RPG soundtracks are played multiple times, which is why I'm usually giving, like, multiple examples, but this one, the only one that comes to my mind is the very first one. Again, what a great track that really fits what's going on in the game. So, number 20, we have Cinco de Chocobo. This is the music. Oh, listen to that snare. So clearly what they did with this was they took the main theme of Chocobo, you know, da 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 da, and they made it a much more like smooth jazz kind of way. I don't even want to say smooth jazz, just a very jazz kind of feel. I love the percussion on this. I love the bass. If you listen very carefully to the low bass going through. And then, of course, the keyboards or whatever they're playing as the background do-do-do-do-do. And you even, like I said, this song features a lot of percussion that you can specifically hear. Really, again, fits what you're doing, fits the jovial tone, which, speaking of all tracks in the game, this might fit the most of any track. You just, this is Costa del Sol. You just get off the ship where you first meet, this is such a weird part in the game, because you're on the ship, you just do the Rufuss welcoming ceremony in Junon, and it's obviously plays that fantastic tune, which we will hear later. You go on to the ship, which is mostly like silly because you're dressed up as the soldiers. Then all of a sudden, everyone's dead. And you find out there's Sephiroth, and you fight Genova for the first time. Excuse me. You get off the ship, and you're immediately in Costa del Sol. So you go from sandwiched in between two of the high points in terms of lightness in the game is death, and the first time you see Genova. But again, this has that island feel. There's really not much to do in Costa del Sol, but sometimes I would just, like, go just to hear this song, you know? I don't know if you can hear it on the recording, but the background where very faintly there's, like a percussion, like toms or something like that playing, like a very light toms. Man, again, that probably fits more than anything in this game. This just feels like you're on the beach. On vacation, away from it all. So, 18. Gotta get that snapping going for Kate Sis theme, baby. This sounds to me like something that would be playing. And Kate Sith is like this. This sounds like something that would be playing for someone you like, but at the same time is kind of shady. Like, you never know what they're gonna bring up next. Like, oh, you know, okay. Let's just go to this thing. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. You know, and then you realize later that while it was fun, you were like, where were we? What were we doing? Always getting you into, you know, I want to say minor trouble, not major trouble. But it sounds like the theme for someone who's just like, cool. It's got that cool cat kind of feel. Cat, get it? And that especially goes through with the bass line here. Again, most of these themes of people's, like, the characters' themes just fit so well. See, the problem with these tracks 1 through 30 is I could just play them the whole way through, and a lot of them are 3-4 minutes long, but we don't got time for that. Now, I never knew this. This song's played very early in the game, quite a bit, especially in Sector 7. Where Barretts' hometown is. This is actually Barretts' theme. I never knew that this was Barretts' theme. And I would go as far as say that I love this track, as I love most Midgar stuff. But I never would have guessed it's Barretts'. This is one of the few character tracks that I'm like, oh, really? This song, again, feels like Midgar to me. Even though you're in Sector 7 and everyone's poor and everything, quite honestly, is pretty bad. it gives hope. You know, Avalanche is hope. That they can take down Shinra, you know. But that's before... This is when the game is so simple. Before you know that Sephiroth and Genova and the weapons and Meteor, all this stuff that comes up later. Right now, it's just you versus Shinra. Listen to that snare there. It has that hope, but with the snare, they also add the military kind of theme there. So again, early on in the game, it's just Shinra that you know of, so everything seems so simple. Take down Shinra, yes, they're huge, they have all these reactors, but in the beginning you think, we're just going to take down all 7 reactors, and that's going to be the game, kind of thing. This is when everything is so simple and so almost, you know, pure, which is what I feel this is going for. So heading up to 16, I'm sure that this would be on the top 10 of a lot of people's lists. This is Cosmo Canyon, which I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe I also counted as Red 13's theme. I don't believe that I'm looking through my list real quick. I don't believe I had his theme listed. So, on the official soundtrack, they have Red 13's theme, and they have Cosmo Canyon listed separately. But I listened to both back to back, and quite honestly, I can't tell a difference. So I'm counting this as Red 13's theme and Cosmo Canyon. Again, if I mentioned Red 13's theme last time, I apologize, but this is something I had through my head where I was just like, I cannot tell the difference here. So clearly Cosmo Canyon is, you know, where Red 13 and Bugenhagen, you know, reside, and it has that much more, like, Native American kind of feel, and that's definitely what's going on here, especially with the flute. It's both the flute and the fact that the drums are going dun 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 dun. It's it just has that kind of feel of like a peaceful village, but a village that could also go to war for what they love. You got the flute is the peaceful village, and the background drums and stuff almost has that military kind of feel to it. So yeah, like I said, this would definitely be in the top 10 of a lot of people's. But then again, if you were like me and went through every track and you're like, oh, I forgot about that track, that's kind of why Cosmo ended up being 16 here. But again, everything in the top 30 is fantastic. So this is kind of a specific one. It is only used one time that I remember. This is Weapon Raid. When you are in Junon the second time, and you are playing as, I guess you play as both Barrett and Tifa during this. This is when Barrett and Tifa are captured. And the weapon starts coming towards Junon. That's, I think, what they refer to as Sapphire Weapon, the one that gets blasted by the Junon cannon. So although it is not specifically played only in a cutscene, it is, to my knowledge, only played a couple times in the game. So this part right here, you know, kind of the secondary part, has that military feel because, again, you're going against something bigger than you know. And you got the cannon, and you got all these Shinra soldiers going, you know, crazy. And this general feel is like the, oh, we're against something huge. So again, this part right here is almost like approaching. Like this kind of feel I'm getting from this, both the drums and the melody is like approaching. Something big is approaching, which is what happens. And then Sapphire Weapon gets shot out the sky. Okay. We're back to Midgar. Oh my god, this song, right? I'm surprised I even put this at 14. Like, I honestly feel like it could have been honestly top 5. This is Midgar. This is oppressed people is what it's called, but this is oppression. This is excuse me. A song like this doesn't give you like much hope. It feels like ghetto. It feels like, well, oppressed people. As you can tell, I think I mentioned this last time or even earlier today, I have a high love for the Midgar songs. Now, this is played in different parts of the game, but it will always be associated, at least with me, with Midgar. But listen to that bass. This is played at Wall Market, which is one of the best parts in the game when you're trying to figure out what you're doing, where you're going. It's seedy, shady, and that's how a lot of the people are, you know. Honeybee Inn, shady, weird. A lot of the other people there just trying to make it by, trying to survive. But that bass is what makes it. I could quite literally listen to that song all day. I don't have the time for it, unfortunately, but I could quite listen to that song every day. So, we have Genova, Genova, as track number, I believe this is 13? Yeah, 13. So this is the music that plays when you fight Genova Life, the first Genova. I'm certain of that. And maybe Genova Death, I'm not sure about that. Listen to this battle music. There's not one single part to this song. The melody, that do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, clearly is great, but the percussion here really drives it. And again, this song, it's playing, something big's going down. You're fighting a big boss. You know right away that this is something very important. This is something very big. And here we have the best part. Wonderful. I think that's... Yeah, I think that's it for this song, but just what a wonderful track. So, speaking of that, at number 12, we have Genova Absolute. This is the one that plays on the last Genova fight. I believe it's Genova Synthesis. Yeah. Talk about taking what the first Genova track was and making it just so much more fulfilled. There's so much going on with this song. So many different moving parts. It's hard to even point out. I'm trying to sit here and think about one part to point out of it, but it's just everything flows so good. I love I want to call them the B parts, a lot of these songs Uematsu puts out. Like this part right here, it like really ties the first part in together. Oh, there's just so much going on at one given time. Just want to make sure I'm not skipping anything. And that's the key change right there a couple seconds ago to really make it more dissonant. What a song and what a boss fight song. So we're getting into the top 10 right here. This is Fiddle De Chocobo. If you have played this game and done the side quest, you have heard this song many times. This is the song that plays during Chocobo racing. Why did I put this so high on my list? Well, it's a Chocobo song. So it's automatically great. It has kind of that banjo, kind of twaspy kind of feel. I've listened to this song so many times because of trying to get all the items and stuff from Chocobo Racing, and I never got sick of it. I never had to mute the TV, you know. A lot of times when you're doing stuff like that, you have to mute the TV. If you're grinding a lot, you're like, oh, I can't listen to this anymore. You put something else on. I've never had to mute the TV. I always just play this. It's just so light and airy. And it takes the other Chocobo themes we mentioned before, and then gives it almost like a higher tempo, just much more going on. For that part, I always think, banjo on my knee. Maybe that's what he's going for there. Alright guys, we're up to the top 10, so I'm going to try to give the top 10 as much love as I can for each, because, well, it's my podcast, and I want to talk about this. So, number 10, you're probably familiar with this track. I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to look at my list real quick. So, I'm going to go ahead and say probably 8 of these 10, maybe 7. 7 or 8 of these 10 you would guess right away. There's one of these top 10 that's going to be a big surprise. It's a song that I personally love, but I don't think gets a lot of love elsewhere. This is clearly the fight music of FF7. If you played the game, it needs no introduction. Fight music is so important to an RPG because you're going to be fighting so often. It needs to be catchy. It needs to stay with you. This is clearly the best part. But yeah, this song is played not only in normal fights, but a lot of boss fights. The other boss fight tune only plays in certain boss fights. This even plays in the weapons, like Emerald and Ruby weapons. So you're listening to this a long time. So, up to 9? Ha ha ha! This song might be number 75 on a lot of people's list, The Gold Saucer. Again, I love everything light and airy. I love how it sounds. It sounds like a video game, or like I feel like I'm at an arcade. I feel like I'm at an amusement park. It's just so light and airy, which is very interesting, because some really bad stuff happens at Gold Saucer. At some point in the middle of the game, you know, a bunch of people are, you know, massacred at Gold Saucer. And, you know, you're listening to this music all beforehand, and all of a sudden, bam, that happens. Definitely understand if you disagree with this, because I know a lot of people would get, like, the way too light stuff. They'd be like, oh, next, you know, but I love it. I listen to it all the time. Gold Saucer, I never complain. I never turn it down, you know. I just love tunes like that. So, number 8, you listen to this song a lot during the game too. This is High Wind Takes to the Skies. And thank goodness that the high wind music where you're flying around is so good. Because you'll be flying around a lot. You'll be listening to it a lot. Now tell me this just doesn't sound light and airy. Majestic is a great word of putting it. I mean, it's just so majestic. It again, the great thing about all 30 of these top tracks is they really fit. Almost all of them just fit what's going on in the game at that point. It is wonderfully majestic. Here we got the key change to make it even more, dare I say it, epic. I just had to let it play a little bit longer. I could have stopped it and went to the next track, but I wanted to play it a little bit longer. Okay, so that's High Wind Takes the Sky. It's number 8. We have number 7. This. This is the Turks theme, my friends. And what a minimalistic song that is infinitely memorable. You know, memorable. There's not much going on. It's all percussion, for the most part, besides a da-da-da-dum. And it just feels like a shadow agency, something unknown, you know. And that's kind of like what the Turks are. Like, what do the Turks do? You know, who are they? What are they doing? And it definitely is an example that less is more sometimes. There's some tracks on this that have, like, I think I mentioned on the Genova Absolute earlier, there's like so much going on. How could you possibly point it all out? This one, less is more. But again, this is so symbolic. If you've ever played this game, you know this. It's not one that you'd be like, oh, I remember that track. Like, you could have played it for, like, one time back in 97, and you'd be like, yep, I remember that one. Again, I could listen to that quite possibly all day. So, number 6. I think a lot of people would have this top 5. This is Still More Fighting. AKA the boss. I love the names on these. There's Hurry, and then there's Hurry Faster. There's your standard fight is fight. Then there's Still More Fighting for the bosses. I mean, just wonderful melody there. It is very melodic, but at the same time, it's not... It's very melodic, but at the same time feels, it has a frenzied pace, and feels important, but again, not too melodic, not too light. And if you listen very carefully to the guitar, quote-unquote, in the background, I mean, this is one of the tracks. There's no question about it. If you played the game, or even if you're listening to the track right now, you realize it's just awesome. I mean, goodness gracious, that is just amazing. So, number 5, this is the one track that I feel like people wouldn't even consider having this on their top 1. But at number 5, we have Descendant of Shinobi. It is Yuffie's theme, actually. I love this song for many reasons. It's actually one of the first songs I really learned how to play on the guitar. It has a lot of really cool stuff going on if you're finger picking between the bass line and the melody. And it's one of those songs that, for some reason, that I can't really explain, has a lot of, like, deeper meaning to me, and I really don't know why. I wish I could, like, explain it on this podcast, but, like, it just, like, just feels deeper. And again, maybe it's because it's one of the first songs I learned on guitar, and I really played it a lot. But I love the mix between the melody and the background noise there. I find that in general, I like anything that has a backing beat that's like dun da dun da dun da dun da dun da, you know, that kind of thing. It just, it feels so innocent, I guess is a great, and that's kind of how Yuffie is, you know, I think she's 16 in the game, and even though she's like stealing and all that kind of stuff, she's like very innocent. She's the youngest of all the party members. And yeah, I almost let this play the whole way through, believe it or not. Alright, so number 4, very symbolic. Right? I feel like this is going to be in almost everyone's top 5. This is Shinra Corporation. You hear this and you think bad, right? Especially when that comes in. It's just bad. You can't you can't play this song for a good guy. They're the ultimate bad guys. And again, early on in the game, before you know about Sephiroth and the weapons and Meteor and all that nonsense, they are everything that's wrong in the world. They're doing everything that's wrong in the world. What else do you say about this? It just, it perfectly symbolizes Shinra. You hear this and you just know. I mean, they're just bad guys. I'm gonna skip ahead just to make sure. Okay, cool. Want to make sure we heard all the major parts of that. So, the last three, before I get into them, can you think of what they could be? What songs am I forgetting on here so far? You know, what comes to your mind? What did he forget? I'll give you a second. Obviously, you could pause as well if you like. But what songs are still missing? This is the trifecta right here. This is the last three. Number 3, you only hear this song once in the game, actually. This is Crazy Motorcycle or Crazy Motorcycle Chase. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I really think you only hear it during the motorcycle chase at the end of Midgar. Now, why is this song so important? I mean, it obviously sounds awesome. So you just went through Midgar and all this garbage that's going on in Midgar. You go through the entire Shinra Tower. You're ready to get yourself out, and all of a sudden this song starts playing, and Cloud shows up on a mofoing motorcycle. And everyone hops on or hops in the truck that's luckily right there. And you're on your way. Could I listen to this song all day? Yes. I could. I could listen to this song quite literally all day. Let's try to break it down real quick, because like I said, we're at the final 3. The background percussion is never ending, which is great. It really makes it feel like it's a chase, or it's a race, or it's just something that is not ending. Of course, it might be hard to hear, but the bass is also never ending as well. It's just kind of like hitting like 8th or 16th notes the whole time through. And it's going up and down like bump, 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 bump. I love the use of timpanis right there. Gives it a little bit of that extra deep flair. And then obviously the melody is just... It's almost electronic. It's almost futuristic. So you got this general like race chase futuristic kind of thing going on. And I think everyone will remember this point in the game, because the first time you see it, or even now, it is just so BA. Number 2, I think, I don't know why, but I feel people might disagree with me on this one, even though I could quite literally listen to this song all day. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. This is Rufuss's welcoming ceremony. You hear it in Junon the first time you go through. I don't know if you hear it again. I don't think so. It plays all throughout Junon, and what a march! This is a march. This is just a straight-up march you would hear in a parade. There's nothing fancy about this. It is simply, I think it's in 4/4. I might be wrong. I know a lot of marches are in... No, marches are in 4/4, I'm pretty sure. It's been so long since I did any actual music stuff, but... The dueling voices here. You got the top and then the bottom coming in right now. I played baritone in high school. So, of course, I'm going to love anything with tuba baritone. You can pretty clearly hear it going on in the background. I love marches. Give me some Sousa. You know, marches are just great. And this is excellent, not as a video game song, either. I originally had this as number 1, by the way, and I changed it. I really thought between number 1 and number 2 for a long time. Well, not a lot. I don't want to make it seem like I sat for hours, but for a while I sat there thinking, what should I put number 1? I had this as number 1 because this song can fit as just a song. You could hear it at a parade and be like, that's a great march. And it's not necessarily have to be in the video game, but what a great time Junon is in this game the first time. When you're dressed as the Shinra soldier and going around and all this crazy stuff. Just a great song. So, that's pretty much it, because this song's about to end. We have number 1. I'm going to let number 1 play a little. We'll let it play for maybe a minute or so, and then I will start commentating on it. So this song is The Birth of a God. This is the song, you might not even remember it because the battle's not even very long. It's the song you fight for the first Sephiroth, which I believe is Bizarro's Sephiroth. Now this song is special in many ways. Remember that part that just played, the kind of keys that went da-da-da-da-da-da? This song, not only does it encapsulate all that's great in the FF7 soundtrack, and just really has a driving beat that makes it so memorable and so great, but it clearly is leading into the FF8 soundtrack. If you've listened to the FF8 soundtrack before, this is the song that is most like songs in the FF8 soundtrack. It's almost like for this track, he was like experimenting right here. If you've ever listened to the FF8 soundtrack, that is it right there. And it's like he was experimenting with it, and then like when he went to go make FF8, you know, the soundtrack a couple years later, really drew on this song for it. So not only is this #1 because it's just so great, the driving percussion, the driving bass, the memorable, almost catchy and airy keyboard part, but clearly it's the song that led to the excellent, I don't want to compare FF7 to FF8 soundtrack because they're both excellent, but the excellent FF8 soundtrack, it clearly had its roots right here in this song. No other song on FF7 would I mistake for FF8, but I could mistake this one for an FF8 song if I didn't know better. And again, you only hear this song one time, and it's only during the Bizarro Sephiroth phase. I'm pretty sure Bizarro is the one you face first. It's the one where he's like a big green thing. Absolutely, what a song. I let that play the whole way through, luckily. So, that's it. That's what we have going on there. That was the FF7 soundtrack from number 75 through number 1. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope it's not, even though I don't monetize videos, I hope it's not taken down. That'd be nice. It was fun doing this, but it was a little bit of work getting everything worked out there. So, I thank you very much for listening. If you ever want to see me do other retrospectives of other soundtracks, let me know. I love video game music. I just do. I don't know if I would love anything enough to rank them like FF7 soundtrack, but I could definitely do retrospectives or reviews or whatever. I love soundtracks. They're just video game soundtracks, excuse me. They're just so fantastic. And you know a soundtrack is exceptional when you can listen to it on its own, separate from the game. And especially if you can quite literally separate it from the game, where you're not just like, oh, that's when that happened. Like when you can just listen to it and be like, this is a great tune, you know. And that's what a lot of these songs end up being. They end up being great tunes that could play on their own. You could just play them, and it would be fine. So thank you for listening. I very much appreciate it. We're 61 episodes into Completing Cast. I quite literally cannot believe it. But we're heading on towards 100. That's the goal. Get to 100 without running out of stuff to talk about. So thank you very much for listening. I very much appreciate it, and have a good one.